Hey guys, welcome back to our channel. Today it is just going to be a video with myself as Jack is at work and I'm on uni holidays, so I thought what better way to spend the holidays than talk about something I'm passionate about. So today's video I will be going through 8 healthy food habits that have improved my relationship with food. So hopefully you guys can take something away from this video, as I'm sure we all may not have a perfect relationship with food, but that is perfectly natural. And yeah, I just wanted to say before we get into this video that obviously I am not a qualified dietitian, nutritionist or anything like that, and this information is purely from my own experience, from other things my friends and family have gone through. I just wanted to start off with saying like a little bit of a background on how I've been with my relationship with food, specifically over the last 3 to 4 years since I've turned 18. And yeah, I think going through high school as a teenager, I was always a little bit, I wouldn't say self-conscious, but my body wasn't specifically like the beauty standards of that time. I always had like more muscly legs, and I was a little bit, I don't know, self-conscious about that. And you know how it is when you're younger with like kids making comments, and I think all I wanted was at that time to be skinny. And I don't know, I guess I never really was that aware of my body in that way, because I was always like playing a lot of sports. I played soccer since I was really young, and I was playing a lot of sports with like boys in boys teams. So I wouldn't say at a super young age I was like really like aware of body image. Like it was always just pretty easy. But then I think it got to about year 10 I'd say. So yeah, I think I was about 15, and that was when I really started seeing stuff like in the media, and yeah, just wanting to look a certain way and not really knowing like how to go about it back then. And I think it was year 11 maybe, and I started doing just like home workouts. And I think that was a time when like the Kayla Itsines thing first came out, and that was like really big if you were around for that time. Everyone was doing it and everyone was getting like really good results, so I started doing it, and it actually did like help me at the start, because I wasn't really that educated with gym and other things like that. Like I played literally every sport, but I didn't really know that much about nutrition. I guess like at a young age I was just lucky that I had a mum and family who were always like super healthy, so we never really had like junk food in our house, or you know, she was really good with her cooking. And I guess that can be a good and bad thing, because when you're young and you don't really have like many treats, or you don't really, it's not normal for you guys to have like heaps of snacks in your cupboard. I feel like when you get older and you get to like 17, 18 and you do start making money, I feel like it's very easy to just fall into the trap of thinking, you know, you can buy whatever you want with your money. And that was probably when I started like, I'm not gonna say I had a binge eating disorder, but I was very much like making those bad habits back then, and I didn't really like understand that it was bad. I just thought because I exercised and everything else that I could kind of get away with it and it wouldn't actually like impact me. However, so this was probably in year 11 and 12, and I was really into education and I wanted to do really well, get a good ATAR, you know the drill. And that was when I kind of started like stress eating, I would say, and I would stay up to like a ridiculous time at night studying. And you know, I wouldn't be eating ridiculous amounts, but like it wasn't like a normal routine. Like I would, if I was not hungry, like I'd still just eat, because I was so like stressed and I had so many things like going on in my mind. And I thought that like, I feel like you don't really even realize you do it, especially when you're like stress eating or emotional eating, and it's just, yeah, So that was in year 12, and then I was still playing soccer at the time, going to the gym, everything else, but I noticed like I just couldn't really lose weight and I wasn't really feeling like the best. And I also started drinking a lot during that time as well, so that didn't help me at all. So all those little things combined just led me to feeling just like really gross and not like my optimum self. I finished school, I had a gap year, and then during that gap year I decided that I wanted to compete in bodybuilding because I had, you know, a natural like body type that like puts on muscle easily. So I basically already had like all the muscle growth and everything there. I just had to work out how to like shred down, and I had a really good coach at the time and I learned a lot about nutrition and everything. And I'm not saying I've got anything against competing or doing those pretty like strict diets and counting macros, calories and everything else, but when you're young, especially I was 18 at the time, and it was just really hard after that to kind of, I don't know, just be consistent and eat to be healthy rather than have that mindset of needing to look like a certain way aesthetically and using food for that, which is like, it's all well and good, but I feel like comps can be pretty damaging to young girls, and especially like my body probably wasn't even fully developed at that time. So I think I had a lot of like hormone issues and just, yeah, it wasn't really working how I wanted it to, just in terms of like post-comp. I think my relationship with food has gotten a lot better the last 2 years, just because I've had to change a lot of like my ideals and, you know, just more the mental side. Like I've really educated myself on that, and I know that some of the things that I was doing were not healthy and they weren't making me happy. So I wanted to obviously share all these things with you guys today in hopes that you will, yeah, have a more positive outlook on food. And I also wanted to say, like, I do still track sometimes, but I'm also do like intuitive eating now. It kind of just depends on my goals, but that's something I would recommend for people. Sorry, I just saw Jack. That's something I definitely recommend for people that are in kind of the same situation, or they do have a bit of knowledge on food, because you don't really want to be at a point where you're counting calories and macros for the rest of your life. It's more so a skill that you learn, and habits and your lifestyle, and just developing something that you can actually sustain and be healthy and be functioning to your full potential. So number 1 is do not restrict yourself. So this comes without saying that if you restrict yourself, you're going to be even more hungry. You're probably going to fall into the trap of binging, and yeah, you don't want to have that mindset where you're not allowed to have certain things, or this food's bad, this food's good. Like, that's not, it just doesn't work like that. Like, yes, there are foods that are more nutrient dense than others, and there are foods that are more calorie dense with others, but you should never label foods as bad or good and then go about your diet in terms of that. Another thing to add on with the restricting yourself is using phrases like, I can't eat this, I'm not allowed to, as these are, you know, they're rules that you set within yourself that you're not allowed to do something. There's actually nobody else telling you what you can and can't eat. It's just how you've been programmed and how you think that your relationship with food should look like. And more often than not, it's not actually helping you. If you are so restrictive and you do slip up and have heaps of treats, or you binge, you just need to remember, like, everyone does it. It's normal. If you're gonna like have these things and treat yourself, you need to just not dwell on it. You need to have the food, move on, and the next day is a new day. You don't sit there punishing yourself for your actions or regretting things, because that's just going to set up those like really bad habits and those like emotions that you associate it with. And yeah, I think that's definitely like a vicious cycle that you don't want to get into. So if you do find yourself like binge eating at certain times, like you just need to enjoy it in the moment and then just move on, and don't punish yourself for your actions. Like just start fresh and have like a positive mindset, because you don't deserve to feel like that over food. Number 2 is eat foods you enjoy. So this seems pretty like, you know, straightforward. You're not going to have a healthy relationship with food if you are hating everything you're putting in your mouth. Like, do not have that idea that to be healthy you have to be eating chicken and broccoli, you have to be not eating any carbs or bread or anything that actually tastes good, because you're not going to be able to maintain that diet. It's just going to be a diet, and you're going to do it for a week or two and you're going to feel good, and then you're probably not going to stick to it after that, and then you're back to square one. That's why diets are so dangerous, because yeah, a lot of the time it doesn't actually incorporate your personal preference and things that you like eating. So it's very easy to not follow these diets. And saying that, food is allowed to be enjoyed. You're allowed to sit and eat and think, wow, this is amazing, and have an emotional experience with food. And certain foods help you function better and help certain organs and systems in your body, and they can definitely help with your health goals and fitness. However, if you have this negative attitude towards food, it can actually subconsciously cause stress, and nobody wants this, especially if you are trying to lose weight. Like, the last thing you want is to cause stresses in your body, and these stresses can actually inhibit your body's ability to absorb these nutrients and even just digest your food. I was listening to something really interesting, and it was saying, I know that some people don't believe so much in like spirituality and everything else, which I respect, but it was really interesting reading how you shouldn't have a negative mindset or be stressed out when you're like preparing or like eating food. And it was saying how that can actually manifest throughout your body, and you won't actually get like the benefits that you would from the food if you were in a relaxed, calm state. And it does make sense, because I think about like the nervous system and what would be switched on in your body if you did have like a stress response or you weren't happy, compared to like if you were calm. So yeah, it does make sense to me, and I think that like that is another thing to think about when you are eating. So definitely find foods you enjoy and incorporate them into your daily diet. Number 3 is super important. Do not track your food. If you have had a binge eating disorder or any eating disorder in general, as it just becomes super obsessive, and just it's not really going to help you heal from those things if you're focusing on numbers all the time. It can just be very like triggering and set off those habits, and you just don't really want to risk that within yourself. You want to start like creating healthy habits instead of, you know, being super hard on yourself with tracking, because that shouldn't be your priority. And just like this goes without saying to anyone, you don't actually need to track to reach your health and fitness goals. You don't need to track numbers if you are trying to drop body fat or just be healthy overall. Like, you don't actually need to track. I know that it does help a lot of elite athletes prep for comps. It can help, you know, with learning just the science and how everything works in your body. I think I would definitely recommend educating yourself and learning about those kind of things. But if you're trying to heal from those unhealthy habits, do not make this your number one priority. Just delete MyFitnessPal or any app that you use, and yeah, just forget about that for now, because that's not important. Number 4 is do not follow fad diets or Instagram trends. So this seems like a more obvious one, but it's actually not. Like, you'd be surprised how many people fall for these gimmicks on social media. So the main thing you need to think about is that you're being exposed to so many things now, more so than ever in history. Like, social media has taken over, and you're, even without wanting to be exposed to these things, you're exposed to so much, especially through Instagram. And these companies are just trying to sell you things. Like, I'm not saying they don't care about you, but it's a business. So how are they gonna market off your own insecurities, and how are they gonna create profit from preying on vulnerable people that want to lose weight or want to be healthy, and they will do literally anything to achieve this? So you think that some things are just crazy and ridiculous, but so many people fall into those traps and think that that is the magic pill or the magic thing that they need to be healthy or to reach their goal. And again, I'm not saying this is every company, because there are a lot of companies that genuinely have good intentions and they're formulated with like products that are natural and good for you, as well as like things that can get you results. But the bottom line is, like, you don't need to do these things to be healthy or achieve what you want with your diet. Like, having an effective diet is where you can eat a balanced range of things, and while still treating yourself in moderation, because you're allowed to treat yourself if it's in moderation. Another thing I've been seeing a lot, especially recently as TikTok has just been blowing up, everyone's posting their little like what I eat in a days, and you know, it's all well and good, but the amount of young girls, especially like, I think the standard age of everyone on TikTok is probably like 13 to 16 or 17. That's like the bulk of the users on TikTok at that age, and that age is probably the most dangerous age to be exposed to these things. And yeah, I've seen so many diets on there that are just like 1,000 calories, or all they eat is veggies, and like, you've got all these 14 and 15-year-old girls watching those and wanting to look like that girl, or thinking that they need to eat that way to look that way, and it's just so damaging to their mental health. And that is literally what they're exposed to all the time, because you can't monitor young girls like on those social media apps. Like, it's impossible. I'm sure everyone knows when they were younger and their parents wanted them to not go on an app or social media so much, and you just wouldn't listen because, you know, that's what you do at that age. So yeah, I think it's up to everyone to not promote those diets. And like, I really do love and just appreciate those TikTok accounts that do normalize like eating healthy, not like starving yourself, and not glorifying those aspects, because yeah, it's just, I'm all for raising awareness and for trying to help those people that are suffering, but it should not be glorified and like a trend. That's just, yeah. So please, if you're trying to be healthy or change certain things about your diet or even just fitness, don't look at those social media outlets, because yeah, a lot of the time they're not backed by science, they're not backed by anything. It's just gonna make you develop really unhealthy habits and attitudes towards eating. So yeah, please don't do it. Like, if you need to unfollow or not have those kind of accounts on social media, like, you need to work out if seeing a certain thing on social media is toxic to you. And I went through Instagram not that long ago and unfollowed so many accounts, and I just came to the conclusion that like, this isn't helping me in any sort of way in being happy and just, yeah, appreciating who I am, and yeah, not trying to reach those standards that are so unrealistic. So I think that's definitely another thing to look into, and don't be afraid to, yeah, unfollow certain accounts that aren't making you happy or making you feel positive about yourself. Okay, number 5 is eat enough calories to support your energy needs. Do not starve yourself. So this kind of follows on from our last point, that we all have different needs, and you know, depending on how active every person is, how much energy they'd burn just doing like life processes, I guess. Everyone's different, and that was my point in saying you can't copy other people's diets, because everyone is so different. And just because someone is doing something and they look a certain way, if you were to do that exact same process, that doesn't mean that you're going to look that certain way. And like, I think we just need to all appreciate that that is actually a good thing, and that we are all different, and don't think because someone else is attractive or someone's got a good body that you don't have a good body just because yours is different. And yeah, you just need to accept that if you do binge, it is because you're not eating enough, and it's because your body is just begging for more food to the point where it's sending messages to your brain and you just can't control that. So you just feel like you have to binge, or you have to just eat really unhealthy to like satisfy those needs. Even if you aren't working out that day, that doesn't mean that you just don't eat or you restrict yourself and think, okay, well, I'm not burning this many calories, so I technically can't eat that because then I'll put on weight. Like, no, your body needs a certain number of calories just to function. So just to sit and study, sit and read a book, do jobs around the house, your body still needs like a certain amount of calories to even function. So even just that, let alone like running around or doing a really intense training session. So yeah, remember that when you think that eating nothing is justified just because you're not killing yourself in the gym. More often than not as well, you will probably see people look better and they will just thrive a bit more on more calories. So you can actually train your body. You can actually train your body to eat more, as yeah, you're actually getting more nutrients into your body, and your body will just run better, and it's gonna respond in a way where like you probably will just reach your goals a bit better. Number 6 is stop looking at the scales. Stop obsessing over a number that does not define you. I can't tell you how many friends I have that will constantly be focusing on their weight and telling me, I weigh this X amount, but you know, I want to be this, and oh, 2 days ago I was this and now I'm this, and you're actually not helping yourself at all by doing that. I know to some people weight is this big thing, but really it is just a number. Like, it's a number on the scales. The fact that progress has been so just classified by a certain number is just so wrong, because your weight doesn't actually mean anything. Like, it doesn't account for how much muscle you have. It doesn't account for how healthy you are. It's literally just how much you weigh in body mass. So, you know, just don't base your progress on this. You're just going to be thinking about the number all the time and trying to change it, and that's just becoming so obsessive with the scales, and we all know that that's just not a good habit to get into. I mean, weight can be a good indication of your progress sometimes, and I say sometimes because I know that sometimes you need to weigh yourself to track if a certain diet is working, say if you are competing or if you are trying to cut and lean down. I'm not totally against it, but I just think like you need to stop checking every day and just take a step back, realize that progress can be measured by so many different things. Like, it's how you feel on the inside, it's how your clothes are fitting, it's how you look. And yeah, I would honestly value someone like a friend telling me that I look super happy or that I'm, you know, I look healthy, rather than me going and looking at the scales every day and thinking to myself, oh my god, I've lost 3 kilos. Because like, you're not defined by your weight, and everyone just needs to stop attaching so many emotions to a number, because you just don't need to do it. It's so unnecessary. Number 7 is find some staple meals that you enjoy and plan them out. So it's so important that when you go to the shops, you've got a clear idea in your head about what you're getting and what you're purchasing, because if you go in there just not even like knowing, you're just going to pick up all these things that like you didn't even come in for. Supermarkets are set out in a certain way where you're not necessarily you're not necessarily going to see the healthy options like jump out at you. It's formulated in a way where kids are going to see things that are popping out and that look pretty and that they want to get their parents to buy for them. And I'm sure we all did this as kids, but you don't actually realize that you do it as an adult too. Like, you're walking around and you might think to yourself like, oh my god, like this new chocolate or this or that, and you'll just go for those sort of things because you've just got no plan. Having a plan is so important, and it is so important in every aspect of life, but for your diet and your nutrition, you need to find meals that you enjoy, as I said before, and then make staple meals out of them, and meals that you know you enjoy but you know they are healthy as well. So for example, for like a breakfast idea, you might really enjoy having oats, like protein oats, and you know that they are nutrient dense and they keep you full, so that's something you have on the list. And then an alternative breakfast might be eggs on toast with just greens or veggies. So you've got that expectation that that's what you'll be having, and you won't just grab some random stuff for breakfast. Like, you know that they're your two meals that you can alternate between and that they're going to keep you full, and you've got it in the fridge. Like, you don't have to think about it. So I usually swap my breakfast or lunch or whatever meals like every week, and I don't necessarily eat the same thing every day, but I've always got those things ready in the fridge, so I'm not just grabbing out anything or getting takeaway or just eating snacks all day. But yeah, you just gotta try have some consistency, and it's just less thought when you've got access to these meals that you know are going to keep you full and make you have energy. In saying that, you can also find some healthy little treats that you can have in your cupboard that you can eat every day, and you know, they're still going to satisfy that little sweet tooth you might have. And also you can have treats that are just treats, but you just need to remember that they're perfectly fine in moderation. You just don't want to be making up your diet of these treats. And a good principle to follow is having 80% of your diet as whole foods, and then 20% of these like treats or, you know, chocolate. I couldn't even think of a treat other than chocolate. Chocolate, like snacks, literally whatever you like. It shouldn't be taking up a huge portion of your food. And last but not least, number 8 is manage your alcohol intake. So this is a topic that it definitely has affected me a lot in my life, because I'm sure everyone can understand that when you turn 18 and you've never drank before, it can be so easy to just go absolutely crazy, and just that is your priority. Especially, like, I think there's so many things wrong with binge drinking. I've binge drank so many times. Like, I would not drink for a month and then I would drink 15 drinks in a night, and that, to me, my mindset then was that that was justified because I don't drink every day, I don't drink every weekend, but like that is actually so much worse for you than just having like a glass of wine every few days, because alcohol is a depressant, so it does exactly that to your body and your mood, and it can cause you to emotionally eat. And I'm sure all of us have done it at least a few times. And even if you're not an emotional eater generally, feeling lazy and hungover just like triggers those feelings, and you're just gonna eat for comfort, and you know, you don't even need to do that, but you're so focused on those negative feelings that you're just going to use food to make yourself feel better. You might eat badly that night, so like on the way home from clubbing you might get Macca's, and then you'll feel bad the next day. You might eat something else, or even I know people that like eat badly for the whole week if they've gone out and just binge drank. And it can be so hard to like get out of that little rut when you're in it. You don't know whether to prioritize your mental health or your physical health. And more often than not, people will just do what feels right in the moment and then will regret it afterwards. drinking can affect your ability to metabolize food, so your metabolism will slow down. You won't actually be using that energy in a positive way, especially if you're just laying in bed for the next 2 days. I feel like it has really taken me up to this point to be a lot stricter on myself with drinking, because I know this is personal preference. Everyone's not at the same stages in their life. I understand that it is super hard to learn these things over the years, but yeah, binge drinking is just so bad for you. It can make you have the worst habits, and I even had an incident lately where I hadn't drinking in a long time, and I don't know the exact number of drinks I had, but it actually caused an allergic reaction in my body. It caused my liver enzymes to be at like a dangerous rate, to the point where I got a blood test a few days later, and it was, the whole experience to me is just like super traumatizing, because I was honestly stressed for like 2 to 3 weeks that there was something wrong with me, because my liver enzymes came back dangerously high, and that can actually signify that there is damage. So I had to get an ultrasound, and you know, it did end up being fine and it was okay, but it was, the doctors were saying that like I could have just had like a little virus or something in my body. But the fact is that it did open my eyes to kind of process that your body is going to react, and your liver is going to react the same way as if you had a virus as it would if you binge drink for one night. And yeah, it just like really put things into perspective for me, and just made me think that like I don't want to keep doing that. Obviously social life is important to a lot of people, and like I feel the same, but you just need to remember to limit yourself. And if you're gonna go out for some drinks, like don't just throw it all away the next day, because it can be just extremely hard to get out of that once you're in it. And you don't just want to like continue doing that every time you drink, because I don't know, we're all getting older, and at the age of 22 I don't see the value in doing that anymore. Hopefully I haven't gone on too much about these things, but I do feel very strongly about this topic, and I hope that the stigma of dieting and food can hopefully evolve and change. And yeah, thank you so much guys for listening, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.